Welcome back to McPhee Ford. Today we're going to be talking about the 2023 Ford Super Duty. This is actually our very first 2023 Super Duty that we've received here at McPhee Ford, and we're going to take a complete walk around this particular F350 here and show you some of the differences that Ford made for this brand new Super Duty. This particular truck we have in front of us is a 2023 F350. It's an XLT model and is a regular cab 8-foot box. Now the reason that this is a quite low trim level is that these are actually the trucks that Ford is building first just to get some out there. So these are actually the most common right now are the lower end trim levels. Now we're going to first start talking about the powertrain and what's different for 2023. Powering this F350 is the 7.3 liter Godzilla V8 engine. Now, this is not a new engine. This was actually released a few years ago for 2020, but it still remains for the 2023 model. Now, this engine makes 430 horsepower and 485 foot-pounds of torque. Now, there are some new engines available for 2023. Firstly, the new gas engine, which is a 6.8 liter V8. And that is now replacing the 6.2 that was available for quite some time. And there is also one new engine, and it's a diesel, and that is the high output version of the 6.7 liter Powerstroke Diesel. Makes 500 horsepower and a whopping 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, which is class leading. And the 10-speed automatic transmission is standard across the board. Although the diesel engines do have different ratings for the transmissions, it is the same 10-speed automatic. Now, if you're not familiar with the Super Duty lineup, you might think that this is actually the same truck, but it is not, I promise. This is a different redesigned front end. We'll start here with the headlights. Ford did redesign the headlights, and we do have LED options available on all trim levels now, which is definitely a nice safety feature and definitely makes the truck look more modern. The grills have also been completely redesigned. We do have these massive grills now. This is an XLT, so we do have a little bit of chrome here on this particular one. And we also have a chrome bumper. This one does have some fog lights as well. Nice front tow hooks, and also the air dam at the bottom. Ford also did keep the Super Duty stamping there in the hood as well, which definitely looks fantastic. And the overall design of the hood has been changed as well. A little bit more of a modern and aerodynamic design. Now these vents here on the side are actually functional. These do extract heat from the engine, so it's nice we have some nice real vents here on the side. Now this wheel here that you see is the standard wheel option for the XLT model. Now there's a bunch of different wheels that you can get for the new Super Duty. Ford has redesigned basically all of them. We have different ones for the Tremor models, Lariats, XLs, all of that. So they all have different wheels, but this is the XLT. It's wrapped in an LT 275/70. But if you move along to the side here, take a look at the mirrors. This is the upgraded Powerstroke tow mirror. Now a Super Duty does come with a tow mirror as a standard feature, but this one is fully power operated. It power extends, it also power folds, all of that. And it does have a dual convex function, so we have the fisheye lens here on the bottom that you can move, and then this top part here is powered. It also has the heated function right there, and the marker lights on the side. This one also does have the optional platform running boards. And again, this was a regular cab model with the 8-foot bed. This truck is actually going to be a plow truck, so this is a perfect configuration for a plow. But I know some of you have been waiting for this, so we'll take a look at the window sticker for this particular Super Duty. And we'll get one thing out of the way right away, and that is pricing. Unfortunately, we have seen a quite significant price increase for the 2023 Super Duty lineup. Now, it kind of ranges between model and trim level, but there has been a pretty substantial increase in price. I'll take a look at this particular one right here. So up top, we do have the 2023 F350, again, regular cab, 4-wheel drive, finished in Oxford white. And here's some of the options that this particular one has here. So we do have, again, the power mirrors, we have running boards, spray and liner, all that. And this one is priced at $76.65. So these are all Canadian pricing, so just keep that in mind. We are in Canadian dollars here. We're in Nova Scotia, Canada, so we do have Canadian pricing. So it may be a little bit of a higher price than you would see in the States, but that is what this truck cost here in Canada. In terms of the chassis and the design of the chassis, it's remained mostly unchanged. Ford has tweaked it again just for kind of to keep it updated, but this is an F350, so we do have that addition of the helper spring, which is actually a main difference between an F250 and an F350 is this helper spring right here. So it's a little bit more stiff in the rear end, which does give it more payload rating. But one of the main changes that you'll see here is this bed side step. This has caused a little bit of controversy because it does kind of remnants of a similar design of a competitor's truck. I'll keep it vague there, but we do have the bed side step, and we also do have the bumper step here. So this is a standard feature across all Super Duty models, the ones that come with a bed at least. So all Super Duties will have that, so you can't actually option it without it. So they're all come like this, but it's nice. It does provide a little bit of ease of access into the bed area. You can easily use this to get up and into the side of your truck without having to climb over the side or open up the tailgate maybe. This one again has 4-wheel drive. And we'll come around to the back end here where we do have a little bit to talk about. So we do have a updated taillight design. Now this is actually the base model taillight. It's a halogen light. It's not an LED, but LEDs do come standard on Lariat and above, which do look much nicer. But again, these ones are the updated lights for redesigned for the 23. We do have a little Super Duty badge there. You might be able to see kind of hidden into the light right there. But again, there's that bumper step. And we do have the chrome rear bumper, which is again on this XLT model. But we still do have the Super Duty stamped into the tailgate. And being a Super Duty, we do have the Class 5 hitch receiver back here. It's rated for upwards of 20,000 or more pounds. Massive rating. Now they did redesign the shackles here, the mounts for the chain. So it's a little bit easier to hook up your chains, which has been a complaint in the past. So they did make it easier. They also made it a little bit thicker material, so it's a little bit more heavy duty. Of course, we have 4 and 7 pin connections back here. And being a 23 model, rear view camera, which is standard across every new vehicle, not just Ford. Now we do have some changes here in the bed. One of the little things we do actually have is a little bit of a ruler here on the back. So we actually have an integrated ruler which is on the end piece of the tailgate. Now this is not the tailgate work surface like you would see on the F-150, but Ford did incorporate a little bit of a measurement tool here on the back, so you can use that. This one does have a nice spray and bed liner. We also do have multiple tie-down points, so we have 4 in each corner, plus we have the additional box link system, so you can have a total of almost 8 tie-down points back here, so that's definitely nice. LED box lighting is optional, and we also do have, new for Super Duty, is the Pro Power on board. Now this particular one does not have it, but you can fit the 2 kilowatt Pro Power on board, which gives you 2,000 watts of usable power through an inverter system. Now I'll quickly shoot out some numbers here that are now class leading for the 23 Super Duty. Again, that 500 horsepower and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, which comes from that 6.7 liter high output diesel engine. That's class leading. Also class leading is the 40,000 pound maximum towing capacity. That is a gooseneck towing capacity. It's available on a very specific configuration F450. So 40,000 pound is a huge number, which is actually half of the legal limit of a full-size Class A truck. So we're definitely getting up there in terms of the weight. Also class leading is the now 8,000 pound payload capacity as well. Now Ford has incorporated a lot of trailering assistance features that's now available on 23 Super Duty to kind of help reduce the amount of stress that would be applicable when towing 40,000 pounds. So there's a lot of different trailering features that are available now for 23 Super Duty. But if we take a look into the interior of the all-new Super Duty, now this is a borrowed cab from the F-150. It is a different cab. It is not the same. It is a different cab, so it is changed for the Super Duty model, but it is a very similar design for the F-150. So if you're familiar with an F-150, this will look very similar. But again, we do have some changes that are specific. Now standard with the XLT, we have the dark slate cloth seats. Cloth is available on both XL and XLT, whereas Lariat and above do get the leather seats. So you do have that option here. You can also get vinyl, which is another option, but cloth, leather are the most common for sure. We'll take a look at the door panel here. Again, if you're familiar with F-150, this will look very similar. Ford did change some of the materials just to be a little bit more heavy duty, just to kind of withstand that abuse that a Super Duty will go through. So we do have some different materials, but the layout is mostly the same here. Of course, all your power controls on the side. Lots and lots of storage, and we do have all of the lighting controls on this left side. Again, this kind of switchgear is kind of borrowed from the F-150, but new, we do have an electronic parking brake. Now previously it was a foot activated manual parking brake, but this is now electronic, which is now standard for 23 Super Duty. But we will take a closer look at the interior. Hop in here. We do have the key here. The key has remained unchanged for this XLT and also for the upper models with the keyless fob. It's the same as the previous year. The location of the ignition is actually moved. Previously it was up here, but now it's just like where the F-150 is on the sort of the face of the console. We'll fire up that 7.3 liter V8. Now this engine has remained unchanged, but the other engines have had a bunch of changes. And again, they are paired to that 10-speed automatic. We do have the column shifter, just like the previous Super Duty. Column shifter is the only way you can get it. There is no console shifter, so a lot of people will thank Ford for that. The actuation of the column shifter has actually become a lot easier. So to put it in drive, it's much easier to actually get it into gear. Some may have noticed from the previous ones, it was a little bit more of a notchier design. This one is much more smoother operation. But if you take a look at the steering wheel here, very similar to the F-150. You have your cruise control on the left hand side, and then on the right side you have controls for that center gauge cluster screen. This is actually the base model screen, which is nice because the previous model had a tiny little screen. This is actually a larger 4.2 inch. So it's actually a much nicer screen for the base model, but the higher trim levels will have the fully digital screen from the F-150. Again, kind of redesigned for the Super Duty, but it will have that full screen. Now, if we take a general look around the interior, again, it will look very similar to the F-150, but Ford did tweak it a bunch for the Super Duty. We have a nice line that kind of goes across and connects the center infotainment screen here, whereas the F-150 kind of cuts it off. So Ford makes it more driver-oriented. Standard for 23 is the 8-inch display, which thank God, because it's a nice screen to have. Makes this interior look a lot more modern. So we do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that is standard now for 23. You also have all your various different little features in here, towing stuff, audio. This one does have Sirius XM satellite radio and also Bluetooth. We also do have the climate control system down here, which has remained mostly unchanged, but we do have redesigned knobs, redesigned buttons just to make it a little bit more easier to use. Again, this one does have 4-wheel drive. Now, one thing Ford actually changed is the location of the differential lock. So it's now actually down here. Previously, it was in the middle of the drive mode select, but they actually redesigned it and put it down here because the Super Duty does not have the option to have 4A, which comes on the F-150. So you can actually only get 4 high and 4 low. So Ford just kind of stuck it there in the corner just to make it a little bit easier to use. But we do have drive mode select, and you can cycle through a bunch of different drive modes. And we do have that nice 4.2 inch display, so you kind of will have a nice animation for each particular one. We do have a nice dual glove box, which was also available on the previous Super Duty, but Ford did redesign it. We have a nice Super Duty badge right there. Of course, lots and lots of storage. A lot of the features that you see in the new F-150 will be applied to the Super Duty as well. Like the 12-inch display, like the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system, a lot of the driver assistance features will now be available for 23 Super Duty. Now, there's an entire booklet of features and packages and options that Ford has changed for 23 Super Duty. I try to keep this video as concise and short as possible. Try to summarize it up just a little bit. So we're going to end it here. We'll do some more videos on 23 Super Duty for sure. So if you want to see those, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.